Hi guys, my name's Nadine, welcome to my channel. Today is going to be my October wrap up. Apologies if you can hear my washing machine, tumble dryer, something's going in the background. But yeah, it's a rare day at home today, so I'm trying to catch up on things a bit. So, October. For all of my Victober excitement at the end of September, I actually only read one piece of Victorian literature. I don't know what's happening with me with that at the moment. I think the same sort of thing happened last year, and I don't get it because I love Victorian literature. But yeah, I haven't picked them up really. But I did read 6 books in October, so I've got things to talk about. So the first book that I finished then was The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore by Laurie Gilmore, which is obviously it's a pseudonym for somebody else. And that is the second book in the Dream Harbour series. The first I read last year, The Pumpkin Spice Cafe, and I remember enjoying that a lot more than I was expecting to. So I pre-ordered this book straight away after I finished that one. This one I found a bit more problematic. So this follows Hazel. Hazel is, she runs the bookstore in Dream Harbour, and she's kind of a bit fed up with her life. There's nothing wrong with it. She's got quite a nice life really. She's got lovely friends and a job that she loves. But as she is rocketing towards the grand old age of 30, and as we all know, everything just goes downhill after 30. She's feeling very dissatisfied and like she needs to shake things up a bit and change her ways a little to be a bit more adventurous. So when she starts finding like messages in the books in her bookstore, she decides to follow these messages and these clues to do the things that are on them. And so she enlists the help of Noah, who is he's got a boat, like sailing business there. Yeah. Noah was actually, he was one of the better characters in this. He was definitely a lot more well-rounded than Hazel, who was just a bit kind of whiny and boring. And she had such a bee in her bonnet about the fact that she was older than him, and I found that really irritating. Because she was only like 29 and he was, I don't know, 24 to 26, like mid-20s. And it's like, is that a big thing? I mean, if the genders were reversed, nobody would bat an eye, so, and honestly, he was way more mature than she was anyway, so, I don't know. So there was that. And the romance side of it I found a little bit cringe as well. So yeah, I mean, overall though, that being said, it was an okay read if you're into romance. I'm not massively into romance, so I guess it's not really written for me. But I did enjoy the first one, so I kind of expected to like this one. I gave it a 3 out of 5, so it was just kind of average. I don't think I've got anything else to rant about with that one. Have I written anything here? No, just that it was underdeveloped. So yeah, 3 out of 5 I gave that one. Give it a go. Another thing actually though, I was expecting it to be an autumnal read. It came out in like September-ish. And the cover was autumnal, but this was very much a summer story. So if you are looking for sort of autumnal cozy vibes, this isn't it. But yeah, go back to the first one for sure. So the first 2 books in the series I bought. The third one now is coming out, or it's out around now. It's coming out this month, I think. And it's something to do with Christmas trees. Christmas Tree Farm, something like that. I'll pop a picture up, I'm sure, if I remember. But I have ordered that from my library instead. I don't feel like I want to invest in it at the moment, but I'm more hopeful about this one because time of the year, and it's set on a Christmas tree farm, so surely it's got festive vibes. But I don't know who it concerns, so we'll see. The next one then, do you know, I was just looking for where are my books, but I've put my notebook on top of them. So obviously they've just disappeared. The next one I read then was One of Us is Lying by Karen M. McManus. This is a book that I bought for my son and then stole to read myself, and I quite enjoyed it. So it's like a YA novel, and it follows this group of 16-year-olds in a high school in America, and they largely don't really have anything to do with each other. They've not really got anything in common, except this one day they are all given detention for something that they seemingly didn't actually do. And whilst there, one of the group, Simon, he gets up to go and get a drink because his water bottle that he normally carries everywhere is missing out of his bag. So he gets up, goes and gets a beaker or something from the sink in the detention classroom and gets himself some water and has an allergic reaction to something and dies. The police, during the investigation, come to the conclusion that this was a case of murder and that one of the group has to be responsible. They are not really considering anybody else. It's got to be one of this group. And so as the police are investigating, more and more secrets about the people in the group start to surface. Everybody is hiding something about themselves that would change their lives if these secrets came out. And they have to sort of band together to try and work out what happened to Simon, who is responsible, because yeah, the police are hell-bent on blaming it on one of them. I enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I would. I'm going to push my son to read it as well because I think he would love it. This is a series. I always say it's a Netflix series as well. I don't know. I don't really watch a lot of stuff. So I don't know what that's like, but there is a series of books. Although I really enjoyed this one, I did order the second book from the library, and then when it came in, I found that my impetus had sort of gone. My momentum had gone with it, and I wasn't that interested in reading the second one. So let me know if it is good, if you've read it, if it's worth continuing with the series, because I don't know why, I'm just not feeling it. But I really enjoyed this one. I would recommend it, even if you're not big into like YA. It was cool, it was good. Oh gosh, nearly knocked over my coffee. Next then, the monthly Agatha Raisin. This month it was Agatha Raisin and The Haunted House, which is number 14 in MC Beaton's series. I gave this one a 4 out of 5, I noticed when I was just looking on Goodreads to see what did I read last month. And I'm not quite sure why I decided 4 out of 5 because I couldn't remember anything about it. I didn't even remember reading it at first. So in this one, Agatha has just spent some time in London. She comes back to Carsley, the Cotswold village that she calls home, and to her cottage and her cats. And she's just plodding on. She's got a new neighbour, Paul, who she decides she is not getting involved with because, you know, Agatha and neighbours, they do mix a little too well and then not so much. But he has heard a lot of stories about her and her amateur sleuthing. And he is really, really interested in a story that he has heard from a nearby village about this old lady who is being harassed by ghosts in her house. And so he decides to try and get Agatha to come along with him and investigate, which she does. And they soon start to think that actually there is something more going on here. And then when this little old lady turns up dead, they investigate to find out what has happened. It must have been good. I gave it a 4 out of 5, but I don't really remember a lot about it. So yeah, I must have enjoyed it. Yeah, I don't remember much at all. Gosh. I must have raced through that one quite quickly though. Next, I read Guilty Pleasures, which was the first book in the Anita Blake Vampire Hunter series. So this was my first introduction to this series, and I quite enjoyed it overall. So Anita is, I forget the term now, but she basically works for this sort of agency that deals with supernatural things, and she is a person who can raise zombies and also put people back to rest. And she really doesn't like vampires at all, and so when she is offered a job working for vampires, she turns it down. A lot of vamps have been turning up dead lately, and the head honcho vampire girl wants this investigated and sorted, but Anita is not interested at all. But then the vampires involve one of her closest friends, and so to keep her safe and to keep Anita herself safe, she has no other option but to try and work out what's going on. There are lots of other sort of supernatural elements in this world as well, like were-rats and stuff like that, which I quite like, because it means that, I mean, I know this is a long-running series, so with all of these different elements in there, there's going to be lots of scope for different stories. I gave this a 3 out of 5. I wasn't as excited by it as I was hoping that I was going to be. I was kind of hoping I would read this and it would be like, oh wow, I've discovered this new series and now I have to race through it. It wasn't quite that, but I enjoyed it enough that I'm definitely going to continue with the series. As I said, I think there's a lot of scope in it, and I think there's a lot of potential that it could be a series that I really, really love. So we will see. Watch this space on that one. Next, I read Live Suit, which is 1.5 in the Captives War series by James S.A. Corey. And this was really cool. So it was a novella, and it doesn't follow any of the characters from The Mercy of Gods. I didn't actually read what it was about, I don't think, before I started it, so I had no idea. But it was more like military sci-fi, and it follows this like Live Suit faction. They're kind of like Marines, I guess, and it's people that have volunteered, and obviously they must have passed all the training and tests and things, but they are melded with this tech, and they are sent out to fight against all these horrible bug creatures that are bent on destroying humanity. This was so much fun to read. There's lots and lots of action in it, lots of fighting and things like that, but there's also sort of deeper questions about humanity and a lot of sacrifice. So it was kind of full of action, but also quite ponderous, if that makes sense. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. I'm interested to see how this is all going to relate to the main story, because yeah, there was no real, like, there was none of the characters or anything like that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how that all meets. So that's going to be fun for the future. And then finally was my Victober read, my single solitary Victober read, and it was the group read The Doctor's Wife by Mary Elizabeth Braddon. I started this on the 1st of October, full of excitement for Victorian fiction and how I was going to read everything that was ever read in Victorian times in the month of October. And I think what happened was I found this difficult to get into to start with. I didn't like the characters, particularly. I found Isabel, the main character in this, at the start, let me stress, at the start, I found her just pointless and boring, I guess. And so I wasn't massively interested in reading a whole book about her. But I persevered because I loved Lady Audley's Secret so much last year. and I wasn't disappointed. So if you find this hard going at the start just to get into, keep going with it, because it does get so much better. And I think afterwards I realised that this is a bit of a coming of age story, because she is very, very young at the start. So Isabel is sort of 17, 18, and she is in love with the ideals of romance and beauty, and she dreams of a life full of drama and tragedy, and that she is this grand leading lady that she, like the ones that she reads about in her novels. And that is everything that she hopes for. And then she meets this country doctor who is a very, very nice man, and who falls in love with his idealised version of Isabel. And she agrees to marry him because, you know what, she's a young woman with no prospects, and what are you going to do? And he's, like I said, he's a nice guy, and I think she convinces herself that this is going to be the grand love. She is beloved. And she realises extremely early on, like on the honeymoon, like the next day, she realises that she has made a huge mistake, but that she is trapped now in this marriage. And you know what, she just gets on with it. She strives to be the best wife that she can be. And she really does, you know. Even though it goes against who she is striving to be the best wife that she can be. And then just during the course of daily life, she meets another man who is more like the heroes in the novels that she reads. He is aristocracy, and he's a poet, and there is more of a meeting of minds there. He sees her, and so they develop a relationship, and it's not romantic the way that you would think. They develop this relationship, this friendship, and they meet regularly to talk and discuss books and things like that. So yeah, and it just kind of follows that she definitely finds the tragedy that she had hoped for, and discovers that, you know, reading about these things and living them are two completely different things. And I really, really felt for her in this book, actually. So from the beginnings of being very, very indifferent to her, I just wanted to scoop her up and rescue her at the end. But I really, really enjoyed this. I'm looking forward to more Mary Elizabeth Braddon. I think I've got another one on my shelf, but my understanding is she was quite prolific, so I need to do a bit of hunting and see what else there is. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. As my solitary Victober read, it was worthwhile. So yeah, those are the books that I read in October. Let me know if you've read any of these, what you thought of them. And yeah, let me know about the next one in that that series, the One of Us is Lying. I don't know what the series is called, but yeah, let me know if you've read more of these, if it's worth persevering with. And that is it for me right now. I'm going to film something else this afternoon, but I don't know what, so expect something, you know, really, really well planned as usual. Yeah, thanks for joining me today and watching this if you did, and I will catch you next time. Bye!